Hey, good evening, everyone. Hope all is well. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you joining. Our topic tonight is when the roots are gone, life after the loss of both of your parents. So that is our topic tonight. I will wait for some people to jump on. Looking forward to having this discussion. Hope to have some people to share with me.
Mommy, could you take out the communication line?
No. No, it's 8 o'clock. No. Shower, bed. Shower, bed.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Hello. Hey, Real Baller. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Our topic tonight is when the roots are gone, life after losing both parents. Life after losing both parents. Please tap on the screen when you join. All of the hearts help push out the video, and any gifts help me to move up. Hi, Kiara P. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Our topic tonight is life after the loss of both of your parents. Thank you for joining. Hi, House of Loving Hands. Thank you for joining. Denisha, thank you for joining. Laura D's, Julian, thank you for joining. Hey there. Appreciate you guys joining. Stephen M, thank you for joining. Feel free, tap the screen. Helps to push out the live, and any hearts help me to continue to bring content, hopefully that will bless everybody's lives and help us to deal with all of the situations that life throws our way. So thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining, everybody. Hey, Julian, are you gonna jump on and co-host with me tonight, sir? I know you're probably still traveling, but hi, Ralphie. Thank you for joining. Stephen M. Thank you guys for joining. Our topic tonight is when the roots are gone, life after losing both parents. So I'll give it a few minutes, let some people jump in the room. Thank you guys for jumping in. I appreciate you. Love hearts and hearts. Wilbert, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Hora, did I say it? Horace Britain 4, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Thanks for joining. Thank you guys for joining. Justice, thank you for joining. Justice Love. Hey, Keisha Frazier, thank you for joining. Tap on the screen. Send hearts. It helps to push out the live. Our topic tonight is when the roots are gone. Life after losing both of your parents. So I'm going to give it a few more minutes here, let a couple more people jump on. Hi, LaRonda, thank you for joining, and then I'll go ahead and jump into our topic and have the conversation. If anybody wants to come up, feel free to send a request in the guest box. I'll gladly add you to the conversation so we can talk about it. Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Julian. I appreciate you. So really quick, I'll go ahead and just kind of give everybody some insight as to why I wanted to discuss this topic. Last year, I lost my mom and I lost my father 4 years ago. And so when I lost my father, I continued to work, didn't take any time off. Hey, Tracy Mitchell, thank you for joining. And just kind of kept going. I had moments here and there. It didn't hit me as much Then last year I lost my mother, and when I lost my mother, it was a little bit different than when I lost my father. And I am, or I was, a daddy's girl. So to me, my dad was the world, and my mother and I had definitely a loving relationship, but it was a different relationship. But after losing her, it really, my world was shook, because the two people who defined how I showed up in this world were no longer here for me to ask questions, depend on, and mostly blame. So I know. When I say blame, everybody's like, I didn't blame my parents. Well, I did. And so now, after no longer having them, there is no one else to blame, and I am 110% accountable and responsible for every decision, action, every part of my being, with the gifts that they have imparted and sowed into me. Hey, Trader J. Hey, everybody. Feel free to tap the screen, send me some hearts, some love. Appreciate you joining. Our topic tonight is life after the loss of both parents. What does that look like? How do we move forward when we no longer have those key players in our life? How do we move forward? So I chose this topic today because last night or this morning, I thought about both of my parents, deeply thought about them. And I was really missing them because, once you lose a loved one, people say, eventually you get over it. I don't think you ever do. I think they're always on your mind, always in your heart, always in your thoughts. Everything you do, little things you see, little things you say, you're like, ooh, that reminds me, especially when it comes to your parents, of them. And so I just thought about them this morning, and I wanted to have the discussion to find out from other people who have lost their moms and dads and people that they were close to, their core system. If your grandparents raised you or whoever, how have you revamped, and how are you now dealing with it? How do you live your life? What lessons have you learned? What things have you taken from them? What things do you wish you had appreciated while they were here? And just how do you deal in your day-to-day life with defining who you now are when those key players in your life are no longer around? And so that is the topic of discussion for this evening. I appreciate you guys for jumping on and joining, and just want to have that discussion. So have some questions that I came up with that I wanted to kind of discuss with everybody. I know, we sometimes think that we're immortal and, death is beyond us. But when it hits home, it gives you a different sense of being in this world. And so one of the things that I know for myself, and one of the things that I have realized, is that I'm raw right now. And that's the best way for me to describe it. I am very raw. And when I say raw, things that I could tolerate in the past, or things that I would let slide or let go or let people say, I don't have that patience filter anymore. I'm just very, I'm very no nonsense, where I have always been very forgiving and very kind, and always willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. That is not my modus operandi anymore. So I find myself being very guarded and just, really not open to a lot and not willing to tolerate a lot after losing my loved ones. Now, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Some people would say, that's how you should be. Guard yourself, protect yourself. But for me, that is not how I lived. And so now this is a new leaf that I have turned over since I've lost my mom. And so, it's just different. It's a lot different once you've lost your parents and they're no longer around to kind of guide you. And the other thing is taking on the leadership of the family. I know, I am the oldest child for my mom. And so I've always kind of been in charge anyway, but it was always nice to have her to kind of call and say, hey, this is going on. And she would tell me, oh, you're being too hard. Oh, you're overreacting. And I don't have that gauge anymore to help me when I'm navigating through life and situations and relationships. And the other thing is, when you have your parents, to me, at least mine's, they're pretty brutally honest. They didn't sugarcoat a whole lot. And that helps. Where other people may, try to sugarcoat it, or other people may be too harsh, and your parents help to kind of ease the blow. So you have all of those dynamics that go into play when you have lost your parents. So just wanted to have that conversation. Please let me know if anybody wants to jump up and join me. I'd love to have the discussion. See, I'm sending out some invites. So, let's see here. With all of my information that I have. So, grief wears many masks. And I know, a lot of times we don't know how it impacts those that we love. Everybody, they'll deal with things differently. I know my ex-husband lost his mom this year and his dad many years ago. And I still don't know how it's impacting him. We haven't really talked about it, but he was really, really close to his parents, closer than I was to mine. And I know that if I am having a hard time, he definitely must be having a hard time. But put it in the chat if you don't want to jump on. How has grief impacted your life? What things have you found yourself doing differently, or how do you see things differently if you've lost a parent or two? And what lessons have you learned after losing them? One of the things for me that I have gotten after losing my mother, I have become more appreciative of all of the things that she did and all of the sacrifices that she has made for me to be who I am and for me to show up in this world the way that I do. My mother was a very strong woman, very opinionated, very straightforward. She was a straight shooter. She did not bite her tongue. I can share a story. My aunt was married to this guy and he passed away, and his kids were in charge of doing the obituary and all of that. And my mother basically stood up in the middle of the church service and was like, because they didn't include my aunt in the obituary, she stood up in the middle of a church full of people and she was just like, this is his wife. I don't care what's in that obituary. You guys need to acknowledge her. You see those TikToks now going around, or Instagram videos where somebody is at a funeral doing something crazy. That was my mother. She stood for what was right, and she did not care how other people perceived it. And she always believed in what was fair was fair. And if people didn't like it, then she did not care. And she didn't care who liked her. And if they did or did not, she just was very no nonsense. And so that is one of the characteristics that I now appreciate about my mother. As when I was growing up, I didn't like it. I was like, oh gosh, she's too harsh. Now I find myself being more like that. And so I think when we lose our parents, the very things that, we may have been like, I don't know why they do that. We actually become, and it's kind of like the Progressive commercial now where They'll say, "Are you starting to become like your parents?" I'm starting to become like my parents. I now find myself, I used to tell my mother, "Stop talking to strangers." We'd be out and she'd hold a full blown conversation. I now find myself doing the same thing. So it's just interesting how your life changes after your parents are no longer here. Yeah. So that is it. Drop in the chat if you guys have anything you want to share. Hey, Julian.
Hello, how we doing this evening?
We are doing good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, do I sound okay?
Yeah, you do. I just, as I was talking to you, I didn't know that I would have the volume turned up, so I just turned it up a little bit more to make sure everybody could hear me.
Oh
So,
yeah, you coming through loud and clear.
well, good, good. I'm glad. Yeah, so I had this vivid. I could see my mother this morning and my father, both of them at different times. My father was in the hospital for almost 3 months before he passed away, and my mother for 6 months before she passed away. And so going back and forth to the hospital with them and seeing as they were going through and transitioning was a an interesting experience. And so, what I find still now, sometimes I can visualize my mother being in the hospital asking me to do something or get something, and I'll fall asleep and like wake up in a nightmare, kind of like, oh my gosh, because of that. And so I did it both with my dad and my mom. And so this morning, having that vivid vision of both of them at different places and different points was like, what have other people experienced? What is life like after you lose them? What things do you wish you had done differently? What things do you are you proud of that you did and the things that you took from them? And what about them now shows up in your life that you know, okay, this is definitely a trait of my parent. This is something my dad would do. This is something my mom would do. I was talking to one of my cousins earlier today, and she lost her dad a year and a half ago. And she was sharing with me that he wanted her to move him to another. No, he did not want her to move him to another hospital. And she did because he felt like he was going to get better care and he passed. And she says she regrets it to this day because she feels like had she listened to him and not moved him, maybe he would still be here. And so I know, we all deal with different things and just wanted to kind of get your feedback and your input and what your experience has been.
Yeah, I can definitely understand. You find yourself with many, many questions, many, many what ifs. Grief produces that into a lot of us. And I mean, for me, the loss of my mother, that was the big one. I lost my dad. I was pretty young, around 14, when my dad left this world. And both of them were, to me, in pivotal points in my life. I lost my mother in my 40s, my dad at 14. At 14, for me, with my dad, I lost my idol. At 40, when I lost my mother, I lost that teacher that I could always call and ask their opinion. I mean, it's just something I don't know how everybody else sees it, but for me, first realization that my mother was no longer with me left the entire world dark, I dare say. It's like even on its brightest days, there's still a little tint to it. And you're the only person who sees it.
It's
It
like having on a different pair of glasses. So when you were grieving or going through it initially, what was one of the things that you wished someone had said or not said?
I think the biggest thing for me, I would have to say the biggest change that most of my friends and family members did. My mother was always very outspoken, and one thing she did at all times was use the words "I love you." And I found that that's one of the main things, or the main things that I do now that I hang up the phone with anyone I love. I want that to be the last thing they hear. Because it does, for me, it took away that feeling of being young and immortal. It's really just how you feel for the longest until death hits home.
Yeah,
Like there's always tomorrow to do something. But something as big as losing your mother takes that feeling away from you.
it really does. It really does. And I'll be vulnerable. I was talking to my friend Julie on Sunday when we were at brunch, and I just told her, I said, I just feel tired. I really feel tired, and I think a lot of that comes from, as much as I don't want to think that I relied on my mother a lot, I relied on my mother a lot. She was my confidant. I call her, just with something stupid and random. And she'd be like, she'd listen and be. Okay, you know. And so not having that anymore, it's hard. It's not an easy place to be in this world. And it took a sense of my identity and who I am. And so now redefining who I am is it's a lesson. It's a lesson and a journey.
I mean, it takes a while to get rid of what you call that raw feeling. For me, I felt like numb. For me, I know we're going on 7 years. For the first 2 years after my mother passed, I cannot describe to most people where I went and what I did. Don't have any real memory of it. Even though I did things, travel nursing, and I was in many different places. And I barely have a recollection of any of them. Sometimes when I look at pictures with memories in them, I don't exactly recall where I was and what I was doing.
Yeah.
Then for me and my mother were, well, my mother was extremely close to all her children. I mean,
Yeah.
really, after my dad passed, she became the entire matriarch for my entire family. So much so to the point, the year my mother passed, she had already been diagnosed with cancer. And what happened was our family trip came up again, which our family trip includes us, cousins, uh, aunties, and everyone. And my mother was so determined that if this was going to be her last trip, she was going regardless. And she made that happen. Now, unfortunately for me, not wanting to embrace the idea that this would ever be her last trip, I didn't go. And I think that's one that burdens me quite often. Is the idea that I was so busy with doing what she taught me to do, which is provide for yourself, take care of, and make sure all your ducks are in a row, that I never imagined this would be her last trip.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I find myself like you, Julian, saying I love you. And that was not a big one for me because I've always felt like love was an action word. And I would show you I love you more than I would tell you. But now that my mother is not here, I find myself saying it. And I find myself saying it to everybody that I truly love. I will say, I love you.
Definitely understandable.
If I'm talking to you, I love you before I get off the phone. It is a big deal. It's a really big deal. One of the things that I did do right before my mom passed, we share a birthday. And so we had gone to the hospital. My daughter had come up from Houston. My brother had come back home from Columbia. And we went up to the hospital to go her birthday, celebrate her birthday with her before we went out to go and celebrate mine. And I called her best friend so that they could talk. And I FaceTimed her. And my brother was like, she doesn't want anybody to see her like this. Why would you do that? But something in me told me that this was going to be the last time. And I wanted them to see each other. I felt like that was important.
I mean, it is, you will find yourself thinking of things, and it's very easy to blame yourself for missed moments. I mean, it can be one of the most detrimental things ever.
Yeah. And I did, I was also sharing today with my cousin when we were talking about how she felt about her dad. My mother, it appeared that she was getting better, and where she was at, she was in a rehab center. She kept saying, my mother was a comedian, and she was just, I don't even know how to describe her, but she basically was like, you guys are trying to kill me here. You want to keep me in a bed. You don't want me to get up. I don't want to be here. And so she asked me to move her to another facility because she had broken her leg or her knee a few years earlier. And the facility that she went to that time was like, they got me better. So move me there and hopefully they can get me better so I can come home. So I did. And she just went downhill from there. And so I often, would think, what if I hadn't moved her? If I would have just left her where she was, would she be okay? But then we're talking about quality of life versus quantity. And I felt like my mother was definitely a quality of life person over having many years. I did not want her to be in a place where it was more like a nursing home because she always was like, don't stick me in a nursing home. So, you know, um, that was one of the things that I dealt with.
And the amount of things that you'll go through as far as feeling like you should have did better or you could have did better. One of the biggest parts for me and my mother's relationship was her always harping on my intelligence. And I don't know, somewhere since I was 30, my mother would ask my opinion about things, or she always made me feel like I had the answer. And believe it or not, I think for the first year, I felt like judging myself by the fact that I couldn't come up with a cure for cancer.
Wow.
And that was a big one for me.
Yeah, that's heavy. That's really heavy. The things that we carry after we lose our loved ones. We feel like, what could we have done better, or how could we have done something differently to um, expand or sustain their life so that they didn't have to go so soon. And yeah, it's a heavy one. It is a heavy one. And this is a heavy topic. It's a hard one to talk about because we don't want to talk about death, but it's inevitable. It's going to happen to all of us. And I think we grow when someone leaves our life who is critical to us. It pushes us to a new growth level and it causes us to see life differently and to even move differently. And so, for that, I am grateful for this newfound non immortality that I have, not thinking that I'm invincible and not putting things off. In the past, I would have put a lot of stuff off and been like, well, I'll do this later or I'll get to this later. I don't do that anymore. I'm like, this is what I'm doing. And however the chips fall, that's how they're going to fall. But this is what I'm doing. And I don't bite my tongue about it. And I don't feel bad and I don't feel guilty. And I do what I'm going to do. So,
Yeah, I mean, it can be amazing the things that affect you even long after. I think one of the most unique things for me, and I'm gonna share it with you, it's something very unique, and I don't know why it spoke to me, but it did. I often felt like in life I was capable of accomplishing things, but I didn't want to put out too much. And when it came to after my mother passed, simply I was watching a movie, Black Panther, to be honest. And yeah, I was still in that sad mood, still raw, and things were being held together pretty much by duct tape. And in the part of that movie when T'Challa is actually losing the fight that he's having, the very first fight with the king from the other place or whatever, and when he's at his lowest, he hears his mother or stepmother in his case yell, "Show them who you are." And there was something about that. It actually caused me to have a dream that night. And that's when I decided to get up. I saw my mother tell me, "You don't get to do this. Show them who you are." And
I,
that's something that I carry to this day.
I like that. Yeah, and the lessons again, the lessons that we learn in their absence, and the way that they show up to let us know they're not physically here anymore, but their spirit and their presence is definitely with us every day. And I truly, truly, truly believe that. Truly believe that. I believe my sister calls it the woo woo stuff. I believe in the woo woo stuff.
Yeah.
I believe in the woo woo stuff. Hey, Trav, thank you for joining. So, losing a loved one changes us in ways we don't expect. Sometimes the strongest smile is hiding the heaviest grief. Got to check on our people. Got to check on our people. And losing them, it doesn't just break your heart. It also it reshapes our lives. And so, um, I'll just share a story. I used to be so carefree, Julian. Nothing. I'd be like, oh, la 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 la.
Mm.
Now, I I just got to deliver it the way that it comes. And I just think that when people are grieving after a loss, they are raw. It's like having an open wound and
Yeah.
somebody touching it. And if you touch it too hard, I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna tell you, you know what? Back up, because you're touching a wound right now. And it may not have anything to do with my mother. It just may be something in life that I used to tolerate that I'm just not tolerating anymore, because I know I don't have, that unit that I had before that I could go to and say, hey, this is what's going on in life. I'm like, no, I have to preserve all my energy. I don't have a charging station to go to anymore in Wheatfield. So I have to make sure that I'm taking care of me.
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the biggest ones. I remember when that thought first came to me that from this point forward, I am the backup. Having my mother around meant that, and she always made us understand that no matter what, she would be the one that would come to me. So when I realized that now I am the backup, and don't get me wrong, I have plenty of people around who love me and things like that, but it was the feeling that she inspired that I would never have to do it by myself. But when you realize after you lose both your parents that you are your own backup, because they were the people who loved you in this world simply because you exist. I mean, the amount of things we did wrong, the times that we didn't listen, and having love always show up, even when you did all these things, you realize that they love the fact that you simply existed. And it's something that I'm afraid to say you won't ever find in this world, but I do find myself trying to copy that with the people I love.
That's a good one. Yeah, yeah. Trying to show them that unconditional love, that you love them just because they exist. And I do that too, Julian. But I used to freely give it to everybody. And after losing my mother, now I'm like, nope, this
I can
is
understand.
pretty conditional. It has become very conditional. And, a lot of people don't like, may not like that. They may not be okay with that, but I'm okay. I am okay because my wounds are still raw and they are healing. And um, I don't want nobody touching me.
I do understand.
So. Yeah.
Describing it as a wound is the best. I like that analogy because unfortunately, I can't say that it gets better. You just get tougher.
Yeah.
People say grief will get better over time. Not true. You just get better at managing it.
Well, it's like we went a couple of weeks ago to Turner Falls, and I scraped my leg, and it's healed, but the scar is still there, and it's a pretty significant scar. I don't see it going away. It's still discolored. It no longer is raw, but you can see where the mark was made. It's left an indent that I don't think will ever go away, and that's how it is. Losing a parent, losing a parent. Yeah.
I mean, the new roles that we talk about that get inflicted on you. I mean, things you never thought about. It was a thing for when I talk to my kids to be able to hear what I called granny, and this is what she said. I mean, you realize the extra roles that you have to pick up, especially for me.
Hi,
I mean,
Nicole. I put you on mute, but if you want to talk after Julian is done, feel free to unmute yourself. Okay.
I mean, it's just a big eye opener in this world. The entire world becomes different.
Yeah.
The day before my mother passed and the day after have no resemblance to each other at all.
And when you say that, what do you mean when you say they have no resemblance? Because when before she passed, so for me, we would always joke and say my mother was going to outlive all of us.
Hmm.
We would always say, "Oh, she'll outlive all of us," right? And now, and then after she was gone, it was like she didn't outlive all of us, and so that means how far? Look, how far are we behind?
Oh yeah.
I hate to say that, but it's like how much longer do I have? Let me hurry up and get everything done.
I mean, you definitely start to think that way. I would have to say for the people that I do love, I think about, and it's an old country song that says, "If tomorrow never comes, will the love that I gave be enough?" So I honestly think that way with people that I love because this will be all you have. Have I given enough love today where you'll be able to take it? Because that's one of the hardest things about sorrow. All that sorrow and grief is literally love that has no place to go.
Hmm. Sorrow and grief is love that has no place to go. Wow. Wow. Never heard that, never thought about it that way. So how do we is there a way to put it on or release it somewhere else? Is it releasing it on grandkids? Is it releasing it on people who may not have family to love? Is it taking on um, you know, I'll call it a godmother or godfather to fill that place? Yeah, what do we do with that love? And do we just hold it?
I mean, the biggest thing about it is you have to give it away. It may have been year one or year two. I'm not quite sure. I want to say it was year two. And we were celebrating Christmas in my home. Just me and my kids. And everybody, I was kind of just watching, fake smiles, and Christmas just wasn't Christmas for me. And just as they were getting ready to leave, my grandbaby, yes, she would have been two at the time, so it had to be year three. As the kids are walking her out the door, she stops, and I was sitting next to my fireplace, and she runs over and just grabbed me and hugged me for no other reason. That's when I realized that, especially with babies, they see the love that everybody else ignores. The thing that made you feel this way, they are experiencing now. That all that love to give. I mean, I don't know if you've seen my social media. They had a post that I copied that said, name the one person who saved you, and they didn't know it was. And you'll see pictures of me and my granddaughter. She had no idea
Mm-hmm.
how close I was to literally losing my mind. And that hug reset everything.
And you know that feeling is real. That feeling is so real. I remember, um, I want to say maybe it was earlier this year or late last year. I remember texting a friend of mine that had lost her mother. I was actually out. I had gone to Houston to hang out with one of my girlfriends. I was out with her and her boyfriend, and we had been out at a club, having a good time, all of that stuff. And I was like, what is the purpose? And why am I still here? And I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here.
Hmm.
And it was that deep. And I think a lot of people don't understand that it's like, I never understood when people were like, I want to go jump in the casket with them. I used to be like, get out of here. But after losing my mother, I really was like, my kids can take care of themselves. My youngest daughter has her dad. Why am I here? Why am I here?
I mean, I there's nothing like losing your mother. I've read the books, I've heard the stories, but to me, the more profound things that the songwriters say make a lot more sense in dealing with. Like I remember, I've ever since I was grown, I've always called my mother my first girl, the first woman that loved me simply because Julian was here. And I treated it as such from the time I was old enough to about 21 or 22. I treated my mother like that as I became a man. I would go down, simply go out to eat and have dinner dates with my mother, long trips. I mean, my mother was pretty much my first girl. I never really thought about it, but that was the thing. Everything we think about for a simple relationship, my mother was the person who she didn't do it. Well, she did it just because. Called and asked for a new dress, and I'm jumping to buy a new dress. I mean, things like that are just things that we all grew, and my brothers and sisters literally had the same story. And then you never really think about it until all that leaves. And it's kind of like they say, when you buy a new car, and all of a sudden you see your car everywhere. So when you're in the middle of grief and thinking about your parent constantly, you see images of them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you a chance to reflect that as long as you breathe, they can never really leave this world.
That's a good one. As long as you're breathing, they never really leave this world. And I believe that. I really do. I really do.
I mean, you find yourself looking at everything. My baby sister had her first child after we lost my mother. And we all can't go without speaking about her resemblance to her grandmother.
Wow. I
Or,
do believe in reincarnation. I am a firm believer in reincarnation. And some people, my joke is because my mother left in June. My grandmother, which was her mother, left in September. And I always tell people they had a mission that they needed to go and accomplish. They needed to go reincarnate somewhere else so that they could cause havoc in the world again. And they couldn't do it without each other. So I'm a firm believer, that
like,
your niece may be mommy in another form.
I mean, I do believe that, and that's another big one for me and my grandkids, that your DNA lives on. A part of you is always here with those things. I mean, I could tell you numerous stories, even one that freaked us out. After my oldest grandbaby was born, she was 3 at the time, and we went to my mother's grave. First time my son had ever took her down there. And then we went through the whole little thing. This is grandmother, grandfather. And as we're leaving, she starts crying, saying, I don't want to leave Big Mama, which is what we taught her. And it like had us freaked out. Like, what?
Wow. Wow. That is deep. That's
I mean,
deep.
yeah, I come from a family of people who honestly believed in spirits and things like that.
I
You
do.
know, I don't know if you've heard those wise tales, like when babies are smiling and laughing at things.
They see angels. They're seeing angels. Yeah. Yeah.
So all those stories actually stick in all our heads. I
Yeah.
heard one grandchild point at a picture and say that's Big Mama, and we hadn't told this particular child that none of us could think of. The picture that sits next to my television, and we're looking at each other. All the adults are like, "Where did she get that from?"
Wow. Yeah, I do believe I do believe that, they babies and kids can see things that we can't see. They're more intuitive until it's kind of trained out of them. They have gifts that we don't have, and yeah, they know. They know. My mother used to always say that my great grandmother would come to their house after she passed and throw pots and turn lights off and all of that kind of stuff. And I have a cousin that she tells me all the time. She knows when her parents are there, dishes start falling and weird stuff start happening around her. So I'm a believer. I just haven't seen it.
Right.
I felt it. I haven't seen it.
I mean, when it comes to dreams and things, I'd like to feel that a part of their spirit exists in you, and you just can't help but feel it. Or at
No.
least that's how I felt when I started to come out of being just totally raw.
So did you start having dreams about your mom? Very vivid dreams.
Believe it or not, not immediately. It actually took quite a while, and part of me was yearning for them. And I honestly didn't, I told you, until I saw that part in that movie. And that's so weird because I actually went to that movie alone. Black Panther for me seems like something big. I want to see this movie. It's black superhero finally makes the big screen. I wanted to see it, and I went to the movies and attended that day by myself that night. And when I came home that night and I laid down, it was like COVID was going on, and I literally thought that, okay, am I coming down with COVID? Because I had never sweat so much when I woke up. But
Wow.
that night about my mother and my mother uttering those words to me, I remember how I felt. I remember the crying in my dream, and I remember her telling me, "Show them who you are." And
Wow.
that point is when I realized I had to get stronger.
Yeah.
And
And that's what happened to me this morning, Julian. I saw my mother was on an oxygen tank. Thank you. Thank you. She was on an oxygen tank. This morning I could see she was getting in my car with her oxygen tank, and she was telling me, "What you worried about? Why?" And I was like, "It's not the same. You're not here. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure this all out. it's confusing. I've just moved the way I've moved all these years, and she just let me. It was like, and now it's like, who am I? What am I doing? And so that was my vision of her, literally with the oxygen tank. And I'm like, okay, I said I never wanted to see one of those things again. But that's what I saw. And then I was at my dad's bedside in a hospital on FaceTime having a conversation with him sitting behind me talking. We're talking to somebody on FaceTime, and I'm like, both in one setting, one dream setting, going back and forth between both of them. That was just, yeah, it was interesting. So,
I mean, I think it is. It's the love and the lessons that they've given us. We realize they'll never leave. Even just this year, I struggle to go home to the small town that I'm from. I do. I still don't like being down there because it's never the same anymore to me. And the night that we were getting ready to go to our family reunion, I had a very, very, very emotional dream where, now that, see, I lost my mother. I also lost the uncle that had lived with us pretty much our entire life. He was, he was never educated, as they called it. He struggled with schoolwork, always had a job, but he lived with us our entire life. My mother always said that she promised her mother she would take care of. And so my mother passed in December, and lo and behold, February, he ends up passing. It was, I guess he, for honest to God's sake, didn't want to live without her after all these years.
wow.
And then less than a year later, I lose my mother's older sister. And when I was getting ready to go to the reunion, I remember this dream. It was a heartbreaking dream for me. And they were there, and everybody was getting ready. And as I'm getting my stuff and I'm getting ready to get in the car because I was supposed to be driving this, they said, "We can't go with you." And I remember feeling, well, why can't y'all go? And my mother looked at me and just said, "You know why we can't go." And I remember that breaking my heart. I was like, wow.
Wow. Brian, did you recently lose your dad? Francine, can you hear me?
No,
Okay, I thought so, but then I was like, somebody I know recently was telling me that they lost their dad. And I was like, okay,
no.
good,
To,
good, good, good.
to my good blessings and good fortunes, I have both parents. The father that raised me, my biological father, and mom.
Good. Okay. Good. Thanks, Julian. I see your message. Back in 10. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about the loss of our loved ones due to death because your life just changes. It's a different world. You become a different person. You don't know who you are, and I think it takes a while to redefine your identity and get back on track. So that is what we were talking about. So I heard that today you were the thanks, Ren. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate you. You have anything you want to add?
Not too much. I came in, to do the support, but I'm sitting here with Marcel, my grandson, and we watching this movie.
Go for it.
It's almost over.
Thank you for jumping on. I appreciate you. And yeah, thank you. So you were a hit today on the earlier live. So thank you for that too. Thank
You
you.
keep sending me the invite. I'm gonna keep showing up, support you, and support the panel.
Thank you.
because I'm a quality engager, and what better than to engage with my real people, not just the people that I meet here on TikTok, but
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So I was told yesterday that I may not be a real person. That I who am I? Am I a real person? I was like, really? Okay.
Definitely not a robot. Definitely not a
No,
robot.
definitely not. I am the real thing, the authentic 120% of the real thing. But
Yes.
so yeah, I thought that that was interesting. But thank you. Enjoy the movie.
All right, sis.
Okay, I will talk to you soon. Love you.
Love you too.
Okay.
Hold on before I go.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the gifts. Hearts, people, gifts, love, hearts, and gifts. I appreciate you. So, just some questions that I wanted to reflect on in this conversation. The way grief has changed, um, the way that I see love and relationships, the relationships that I deem as important now, I really, really try to value them and let the people know that I love them and that I am here. Where in the past, I think I took the relationships that I have for granted. I don't do that anymore. I try to show up. But the other side of that is relationships where I have showed up and people have not. I've started to cut them out of my life completely. I don't have any patience or tolerance for people that I pour or exude love on that partially or halfway show up for me. I don't have space for them in my world anymore. And I've always been big on just holding space for people, even when they didn't show up. I don't do that anymore. Um, Another question is what surprised me the most about how grief shows up in my daily life? Um, Grief is tricky. Grief is so tricky. I saw a video today and I'm going to share it after this live. And basically, it was, it's the comedian, I think his name is Calvin Stage. And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to watch this movie. Oh, you remember you watched this movie with your brother? And his brother was deceased. And so that is how grief shows up, is little things. I can be cooking something and think about my mother and cry. Now, something that I do that I'll share with everybody, and I don't know how many people believe this, but every now and then I will cook food for my loved ones. So my dad's favorite thing that he would cook for us when we were growing up was burgers. I'll cook a burger and just make a separate burger and set it on the stove and leave it there until, I get ready to clean up the kitchen and get rid of everything for the night and honor my dad. When I cook certain things that my mother likes or would eat, I do the same thing. So I honor them with food, believe it or not. And I know we see that at the nail shop and all of that, but that is my tribute to who they are. I write about my parents, every now and then I'll just write something about them. I will talk about them and celebrate them because, they are they're critical to my life and who I am. And I've really learned to appreciate both of them. And now as an adult, um, although in the past I saw their flaws, I now appreciate their flaws and who they were and the sacrifices that they made. So it's just a different place. It's just a different place. So yeah, I cook. I cook for my people. Um, I know that may sound weird. So one of the things that another thing that came up was did people's silence help or hurt me during my loss? I felt like people's silence really made me judge them and determine if I wanted to continue to have them in my inner circle or not. And that one was, it was kind of heartbreaking because people that I truly care for, I had to let them go and I had to walk away from those relationships. And so that was a hard one. But I have learned that those who love you will show up for you, and everybody else, you can just let them ride. Those who truly, truly love you will show up. And those who don't, I let them ride. I don't try to, hold on to them anymore. Yeah. Feel free to jump in the box if you want to share, Ren. I would love to hear your story. And you said, yes, that happened to you too. I see that. Yeah. So, I really, the way I build and cherish and value relationships now is completely different than what I've done in the past. So, I am, there you go. Hey, Ran. And I know it's coming in slowly. Um, hey there, how are you?
I'm fine. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you for joining. I can.
Wonderful.
So I'm sorry, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt because I want to hear your experiences.
Well, I've suffered a great deal of loss. I lost two husbands, father, mother, sister, brother, and I recently, just this year in March, I lost my mother. And then 2 months later, I lost my closest brother. So I'm suffering a great deal of loss. And you're right, it's tricky and it's so emotional, just up and down feelings, depression, anxiety. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm calling my husband's name, my brother's name, my mother's name. Um, it is very difficult to go through this grief process. And it was very interesting how you mentioned how people, I had people in my life for years. And when I lost my brother recently, they disappeared. Just a whole group just disappeared. They didn't call, they didn't reach out. I don't know if they had grief fatigue based on all of my losses or what the situation was, but it really hurt me. It hurt my feelings that these people just disappeared on me in a time, at a time that was the worst in my life. These people just disappeared. They showed up at the funeral and I felt some kind of way. They wanted to hug on me, love on me, and I'm like,
Fake love. Just keep that to yourself. Is that how you
yeah,
felt? You felt like it's fake love. Just keep it to yourself.
I guess so. I really didn't understand it. I have never experienced that before. Like I shared, I had the previous major losses, and these individuals were around. But I'm telling you, when I lost my brother a couple of months ago, they disappeared. And then, then they're trying to wiggle their ways back into my life, and I'm not interested at this point.
And that is really, really the hard thing is when we go through life and grief and we have these losses and they may have been like, oh, she needs her space. I think one of the questions that I asked was, what do you wish people had done or said? Or how do you wish they have showed up? And I don't think people consider what may be going on with you. They're moving on with their lives, and how they move, they don't care how it impacts you. And that is how I have determined who gets to stay and who's going, definitely, based on those type of responses and actions. Some people I will give grace, because if their pattern has been consistent and they have shown up consistently, and maybe it's just a one off, like you said, they may have, lost fatigue. And I get it, because maybe they've been here and been here. I can understand that. But people who are not sensitive with their words, they're not sensitive with their actions, and they continue to go on as if life is normal. And I know it's hard when you have not had loss to really understand what it's like for someone who has experienced it. But I think just it's like we go and we study how to dance, how to do a line dance, or we need to study how to interact with people when they are going through grief. Hey, XCC Wayne, thank you for joining. Did you have something that you wanted to add?
I have a different perspective, if it's okay.
Absolutely.
What I've noticed in my life, um, you know how when you're a kid, you go through things and you see the different cartoons, and the hero always comes. But I was one of those kids that the hero never came for. Looked for the hero, but the hero never came. The hero never arrived. And I had a hard time going through that, because I'm like, wait a minute, the hero always comes. He always come riding in on the horse or whatever the case may be. Why did it not happen for me? And then as I progressively got older, I just noticed that the hero never came for me. But I often found myself being the hero for so many others. And I'm like, wait a minute, this defies the way it's supposed to go, right? And I was raised in the church. So being raised in a church, and I'm an avid study of history. And you notice most of those guys that were those patriarchs or either matriarchs, no one ever came for them. And so I started to settle in on the idea that maybe if you're chosen by God, no one comes for you, because he is the one there for you, and you're to save others. It's a long walk. It's a painful walk. You've seen Jesus, you've seen Moses, you've seen countless of those patriotic and matriarchic figures throughout the Bible, and even people that we've experienced in our lifetime, icons that no one ever came for them, but they were always the one that came for others. And we receive our blessings in different ways. And then when you receive those blessings, oftentimes you find out that you're just a conduit of the blessing to help bless others. Now, I've learned that it's a painful and it's a lonely journey, but that's the journey that you were tasked with. Not saying that we're on the level of a Jesus as God, but that's what purpose he had to serve. So some of us are unique or special souls, if you subscribe to that, and we're here to carry and assist in certain ways. And God wants no one else to be there for us, because he needs to speak to us and with us directly. That's just a different perspective.
I like your perspective because I'm feeling that as I walk this journey of loss and a lot of things that are happening in my life, I'm noticing that God wants to be the one who works situations out for me. And I'm noticing that a lot as I walk this journey. You know, people were there. I had individuals who was in place to do some of the things that I needed, but I'm noticing God wants me to be closer to Him, and He wants me to depend on Him to work out every situation in my life. And I can hear Him more. In the past, we talk about being close to the Holy Spirit, Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. But I'm literally I can hear Him speak to me. And He tells me certain things that are gonna happen. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to know.
That part,
Me
that
know.
that that part right there, because that part not wanting to know, because sometimes what you discern or
Right,
you intuit, it sometimes hurts more,
right.
but it's what you need to know for what you have to accomplish.
Hmm. But I am leaning.
I'm gonna go ahead and drop. I just want to just add that. I mean, nice meeting you, ladies, and you have a nice panel here.
I can't hear you, lady. Love. You're on mute. I'm gonna tell her I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Hel- Hello, hello, everyone.
Hi,
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
I don't know.
I can't hear Lady of Love though.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. I had to change devices. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but we
Yeah.
can fix it.
Okay.
Good. Yeah. I like that nugget that he shared.
Hmm.
I think even still with being gifted and with what we have, because God has given us all, an amount of life to give. And if we're giving it out, hey, Linnell, if we're giving it out to those who are constantly taking it, it is pulling from our life source. And I just, after all the light, after all of the loss, I'm no longer just willing to give it away. I just don't want to
Hmm.
freely give it away. And I don't know, maybe that's selfish. Maybe that's a different, thought pattern, but I feel like there needs to be some kind of reciprocity. It doesn't have to be 100%, but there needs to be some consideration and some giving back to to me as I am pouring into others. Because I think when you have lost so much, it just takes a part of you. And it's like this, you're constantly trying to refill. And if people are constantly taking and not pouring, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I too, I don't have the energy
to deal with any kind of foolishness with anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm quick to just cut you off,
Yeah.
and I have cut off some individuals that, pretty much drain me.
Yeah.
I had to make some changes and see if I, like you mentioned, see if I wanted these individuals to remain in my life. And I don't have a problem with saying, okay, you know, I'm gonna remove this person.
Yeah.
And I find myself doing other things. So I spend a lot of time out in nature. I'll ride my bicycle, takes off a lot of stress and depression. I walk. I stay in nature as much as I can. And it's pretty much helping me to get through certain levels of my grief, because I always feel and have said that God put Adam and Eve in the garden, and that's where I belong, closest to that garden, out in nature, walking, sitting next to by the water. And I have found out that that's what's helping me a lot as I walk this journey.
Can I share something with you? Over the last couple of weeks, so after losing my mom and my dad, I just worked. I threw myself into work so that just to keep going. I figured, okay, if I work, you know, and I would have my moments of breakdown and then I'd go on. And so um, after losing my mom, I was like, I know I need a break, but I work contracts. So I knew when my contract was I work contracts. So I knew when my contract was up, I was going to take some time off. So my contract ended in July. I was like, I'm taking off a month. I'm going to just do everything that I want to do, and I don't care about anything else. This is just what I'm doing. And people were like, oh, are you okay with that? And I was like, if I don't do it, I'm not going to be okay. But one of the things that I did when I came back, and I'm sorry, my eyes look a little teary. When I came back, I started working on my backyard so that it could be a place for me to just go and sit and be and enjoy. And so every morning now, and I had not done this, I'll go out there, sit with a cup of coffee, and just be. I put up some wind chimes for myself. I've just made it my little sanctuary for me to go and be and reflect and think. And um, I've always wanted to do that, but I just allowed life to keep me so busy. And I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore. So that is one of the things that now not having my mother has made me say, I'm not putting this on hold. I'm going to make myself and what's good for my soul and my well being a priority.
I love that. I recently lost my mother. I lost my mother in March. Very close to her. Um, Took care of her for the past 11 years, my brother and I. And when I lost her, I didn't know what to do with myself, because my life was her life. I spent all my time taking care of her. I worked remotely, so I would pack up my computer and everything that I needed, and I would drive over to my mother's house to help my brother. And, I had been doing that for over 11 years. Vacations and weekends away, I did not go anywhere really, because I just wanted to stay with her, and I wanted to spend as much time as I could with her. And when I lost her, she just left. We gave her, she loves watermelons, and we fixed her a bowl of melons, and mom was sitting there and she was eating her melons, and she ate every single bite, and then she left. She dropped her fork and left.
Wow.
My brother and I were devastated, because for 11 years, we would always get a heads up when my mother was in trouble. We'll call 911, get her to the hospital. We was her biggest advocates, and we would always figure out a way to keep her longer. Every single time we would work it out. But this time, God just snatched her. He didn't give us an opportunity to do anything. He just snatched mom. Mom was gone, just left. And that was so devastating to us because we didn't have the opportunities that we had in the past to get her to the hospital, talk to the doctors, nurses, make sure she was taken care of, get what she needs, bring her home, bring in all the nurse aides to support us. And we just kept mom going for years. And she passed at the age of 87, and we were really looking for her to get to 90. We were so excited that, my mother was from a family of 23 children, and there was only 2 of them left, and we were just determined to keep her as long as we could.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, when she left, it was pretty devastating on both of us because she's just so missed, greatly missed.
And it's always, I mean, I can't imagine. And my mother and I was born on her birthday. So we had a very interesting dynamic to our friendship. She was a young mom. And so we were more like sisters than mother daughter. But it's still, I don't think it matters the relationship. When you lose your mom, it's a different type of loss. It just is. And people would always tell me, when she leaves, you're going to miss her. And I'd be like, not that Hellraiser. But when she left, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? The other thing that I do know, about a year before I lost my mom, I came across this book called Journey of Souls, that I read. And I'm always picking up information to read and whatever. And so I came across this book, and it was talking about how when people leave this earth, that although they're gone, their spirit is still orbiting around us, and they can see everything that's going on, and just about the afterlife. And I remember, and my reason for picking up this book, I had lost a cousin a number of years ago, and her parents lived in Arkansas, and she would always invite me to come and visit. Come down on my birthday. And I would say, tell everybody I said hi. I'll go next time. I never made it while she was alive. So this particular year, when I discovered this book, I had gone down to see her mom because her dad had passed. And it was just something in me. I was like, I have to get there. I have to get there. I have to get there. I don't like driving in the rain, but I was going in the rain. I had to get there. And so when I got there the next day, that next morning, so I stayed overnight. The next morning, my cousin, her sister, said, today is Charlene's birthday. And I just I said, oh, she got a sense of humor. She was determined to get me there on her birthday. So I said that to say, I know that our loved ones are ever present with us. Their spirit is ever present with us. They surround us. They show up for us. They're here. KRS-One, was talking about how when our loved ones leave us, we have somebody interceding for us on the other side to help to push us to that next place in life, wherever we need to be. And I truly believe that. And so I think for me, where my mother would always say, she used to tell me I was soft and I had a kind heart and I was too nice. That's what I would get. You're too nice. You're too nice. That part of me is now toughening up because she is no longer here for me to have that shield and that buffer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
understand that. Um, I'm reminded of how I've heard individuals state the words heavy heart. And when I lost my mother, that's the first time that I had felt that heavy heart. I understood what that felt like. I understood what it meant. And it was a little scary for me because all of my other losses was a different, like you said, different experience. But when I lost my mother, I felt the heavy heart, and I really had to pray and ask God to take it off of me because it was my heart was so heavy. And my sister, her heart was so heavy until she was in and out of emergency.
Wow.
From the time she flew from Texas to California to see mom at the evening service, her heart started acting up and she had problems with her heart the rest of her visit here in California. And then she returned home and she was in and out of the hospital with heart issues because she wouldn't let mom go. I said, Carrie, you have to let her go. I said, get you a handful of rose petals, go out in the backyard and, release them. I said, you have to release mom or you're not going to get any better. So my sister has just recently, my mother died in March. She just recently got out of the hospital, I think for the third or fourth time.
Wow. Wow.
And she's doing better, but that heavy heart sent
That
her
will,
straight to the hospital.
and it will, if we allow the grief to eat us up, it will take us out of here. It really will. We have to
Yes.
be so, so careful. We have to be so, and
Mhm.
I know after losing Holly, I know that one was hard. I
Mhm.
know that was hard.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It is hard. It really is. I don't think there is none of it is easy.
No.
None of it is
Did you
easy.
know Holly?
I know you. I was listening to you. I'm like, I know who this is.
You do?
I do. I am Maurice's first wife.
Maurice who?
Times.
Oh, you are?
I am.
Oh, it's so nice to
Yes.
meet you and you to invite me over. This was really, really great.
Yes, yes. So I know, him just losing his mom and us losing his
Mhm.
dad years ago and you guys losing your dad. And I just talked about him losing his dad recently about how grief shows up when he, after his dad left and was no longer here. I didn't know he was grieving. I felt like he had just shut down and kind of abandoned the family and not knowing what grief looks like. I didn't know what to
Mhm.
do. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, this is wonderful. You
Yeah.
know what's so funny is I had called my teledoctor because I wanted to talk to him about my grieving situation, and because I've been just kind of, I really want God to work this out with me because I did do grieving counseling with my first husband. But I said, and then my second husband, when I lost him, this week will be 2 years. He's been gone. And I haven't done any counseling with him, dealing with him. And I had shared with the Lord that I wanted him to work it out for me. And he has done that. But then when I lost mom and Holly, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I
That's
think I,
that's a hurt. That's a hurt. It just all of it is just and it's like compiled. It's,
right.
therapists say when we hold stuff in, we think we're just holding one thing, but it's like it pushes everything else in our life down. And so we
Yes.
don't release it's like we're walking in, um, we're just walking in this place of constantly feeling heavy and we have all these weights on us. And yeah, we have to. EMDR therapy, I heard, is amazing for like loss and trauma because it's more of it helps you release without talking through it. But I know that, I was telling Miss Exterminator that when you pour out of yourself, you feel so drained and tired and you don't have any energy. And that work by itself can just be heavy because you're like, am I
Mhm.
going to ever recover? It just feels heavy. Um,
Yes.
and so to do it, it's more than a notion. It's more than a notion. Yeah.
Now, what is the name of that therapy?
It's EMDR. It's
MNDR.
EMDR. I want to say it's something rapid response therapy. Um, but yeah, it is supposed to really help just release, help you release and kind of empty. And it's not like a talk therapy where you're talking through everything and it helps you to get it off of your spirit and to purge, purge your body of it. Um, so
Now, where could I find this type of therapy?
you know what? I would Google EMDR therapist because I'm in Texas now. I'm not in California anymore. And years
Okay.
ago, I did it in Fairfield, and I don't
Okay.
even know that the therapist that did it at that time is still around. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, you can just Google EMDR therapy and see, like I would do EMDR therapy for trauma and see
Okay.
if something comes up for that. But yeah, it's it's a big thing. It's a big thing. And so for me, I lost my mom, my grandmother 3 months after her. My grandmother raised me, and then
Mm.
an aunt that I was really close to, and then my grandfather here just a couple of weeks ago. And all of that compiled, it's just raw. It's like, don't touch me. I'm raw right now. I'm raw. Like, don't say anything off. Don't. And so what I wish people knew is that even though you may not have lost anyone, when people are going through grief, tread
Mhm.
lightly. Tread lightly. Just tread lightly. That is the biggest piece of advice that I can give.
Mhm. Mhm. That makes sense.
Yeah, people will think, oh, my life is still the same, nothing has changed for me. But you don't know what's going on with those who have lost a loved one. And it can be, you may think, oh yeah, oh, it's their son, or whatever it is. It is just so important to tread lightly with people when they are going through things.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, thank you. Hey, Z, thank you for joining. Yes, it is. It's challenging. Thank you. And it is strength. You do need strength to overcome. Thank you for jumping on. So, yes, Corinne, how is Kennard doing? How's everybody else?
Um, I had to share with Kennard to do the same thing that I share with my sister is to release mom. He was having issues, major, major. But she lived with him, and I would just drive over to assist him. And then I would care for my mother when he had to go, on trips or certain meetings, and we was just a team together taking care of mom. So he's doing a lot better now. Um, Venden's doing okay. So we're all his daughters are doing reasonably okay.
Good, good.
So
Yeah,
we're all trying to get through it.
it's hard, and so that is my prayer. So later on down the line, if y'all hear that I was eating watermelon and the fork fell, that is how I want to go. I don't want to be nowhere waiting. I don't want no long drawn out being sick for a long time.
Yeah,
I just want to go.
right.
So, mama did it the right way. That's all I'm going to say. She did it the right way.
Yeah.
But I think
You
the
know, I
other, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, add this piece in there. I pray that if God, if you ever decide to take my mother, I asked if you just would just let her sleep. Let her sleep away. I didn't want her in the hospital and them doing harsh things to her to prolong her life. My prayer was that she just sleep away.
Yeah.
And that's really what happened.
And I went through the harsh things with my mother. I went through 6 months of them transferring her and moving her, and her whole body was bruised and battered from the sticking and the poking and the procedures and the this and the that and the all of the things. But I truly am a firm believer that until we cleanse our souls and get right, we cannot leave here. And I saw it firsthand as my mother was transitioning, because there were so many things that she still had to release that she was holding on to. And as the stuff would come up and she would release it, and it was like she was fighting it. And I was just like, I didn't know what it was at the time. But after going through that process, my message to everybody was let go. Let go, have a forgiving heart, move on, do the right thing. Don't wish people ill, because you have to carry that stuff. And when it's time for you to go, you got to let it go before you leave here. You can't leave here with all that stuff on you.
That's right. I agree.
So, yep, that was my experience. Anybody else want to add anything else, Miss Exterminator? Thank you for jumping on. I know you've been quiet in the background.
Yes, I'd like to let Miss Ran and you both just um, keep talking. I've of course have lost my brother when he had an illness called lupus, and back in our days there wasn't nothing really like it wasn't really known. They were still doing scientific medical research on it. It was in the 80s when he got lupus, so obviously they nobody. So he was sick for most of his childhood, and that was hard to watch him suffering in the hospital. And he took his last breath in April of 2000. I can't even talk about it. And then I lost my sister. I don't really like talking about it. I'm sorry. It's
It's
still
okay.
heavy.
It's okay.
It's been years, but I always say, like my uncle says, that we all grieve differently. And I think that the more you talk about it, I believe you are keeping them alive, because it's it's like what you said, Lady Love, like you're very raw. It's a tender part of your heart that's always going to be tender, and my brother and my sister, I feel, and it's probably not true, but they're probably the only two people who I really believe love me. And so when I lost them, it's like I had to deal with a lot of anger and bitterness. If I saw younger young men that because my brother died right when he was his birthday, he was 29, his birthday was going to be in 2 days, he was going to turn 30. So every time I would see his friends and they out there cutting up and doing stuff, I used to get so bitter, like, why my brother? You go through that. And then I think of my sister. She died of drug and alcohol use and abuse, right? And how she was such a beautiful soul but got lost in the trenches, you know what I mean? So I've lost others, but those two were the devastating ones for me, and they will always be. It will always be devastating. But the
And
beautiful thing is that when you, as years go by, you do learn to process it in a healthy way. Because at first I was just numbing myself with work, with alcohol, with anything that would numb it, right? And then I listened to you, Miss Ren, when you were talking about how that one relationship, though, it was like it came in a deceitful way kind of manner to you, because we talked about this. Sometimes pain can manifest as love at times. And that's where the deceit is, because you have a hole in your heart. And I'll just say that, ladies, but I'm just listening to y'all process, okay?
And something I want to say that just as a people that I would that just has come to me when we lose our loved ones to like drug and alcohol abuse before they ever became addicted to drugs or alcohol, it was something traumatic in their life that drove them there. And it's easy to say that this is who they were or the legacy that they left. It's not. There was a hurt, something was done, something happened early in life that they had no control over that took them there. And so,
Lady Love, Christian wants to be up there, but I think he somehow got put down. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I see his
that's okay.
comment.
No, I sent him, let's see, I'm adding him back up. Okay. There he is. Okay.
I don't know actually what happened. I think I was there, but then I'm not there, and now I.
Yeah, hi. But yeah, I
Hello.
would love if we just honored them by instead of attaching them to some kind of addiction, knowing that something in their past took them there. And I don't think anybody wants to willingly be addicted to anything. Um, so that's just, and I say that because my dad, when he passed, he was homeless on the streets of San Francisco and had been there for years and had an addiction. And, going back and revisiting his history, life wasn't easy. He didn't have an easy life. So, yeah. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Christian.
I think that none of us really had like none of the people. I just kind of came in and listened and to hear some of the
I don't know if there's a signal issue. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. See if we can invite him back up. Okay, there we go.
I
Christian.
don't know what happened. Yeah, so to hear some of the stories of like the pain and loss that people have went through, it's almost as if all these like collective stories. Yeah, not many people like it's kind of like a headline when you read a headline of someone passing away or it doesn't hit you because it's not you, you know what I mean? That's kind of like my 2 cents there. To put in my 2 cents, it's like you don't really see, like when you read a headline, it's like, oh, a family of five got like put into a car crash. Like people don't realize that, oh, it could have been them, right? They don't really understand that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
like, whenever it's not you, it's like, oh, well, it doesn't have nothing to do with me, so I'm just gonna go to the next page.
Let's see if we can get to. There you go. Okay.
I don't know what
I don't know
happened.
what's happening, but
Is it my network? Hang on.
Christian, are you at some place or something where the internet is
Uh,
not strong?
and that is
yeah, my internet's not very strong.
that's okay. Talk until we can hear you, and then if we need to bring you back up, we'll bring you back up. No big deal. Um,
Okay, so sometimes my internet be funny like that. Sorry, guys. But yeah, just hearing you guys' stories, man. The last generation didn't really have it easy. And I'm complaining about Wi-Fi signal being down. And people are struggling. I'm complaining about some Wi-Fi signal. You know, I'm complaining about some Wi.
There
oh
he goes.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like so the purpose of this conversation was for us to just talk about things we've learned from our experiences and loss and how what we needed from other people and how they can be helpful and kind to others and just somebody right now is probably at the hospital. I remember when my mother was sick and I was going back and forth to the hospital, I would go on and post and say, this is what's going on, and um, phone calls wouldn't come. People didn't call to check. But I guess it's like the gentleman said, Mr. Wayne, we're the chosen ones. We just deal with it and we roll with it, right?
Hmm.
So
Uh,
go ahead,
Um,
Christian.
when I lost my cousin, it was in the like in the COVID times, so it was kind of like where you had to wear a mask and you couldn't really. You had like the funeral homes, what they would do in the pandemic, and I didn't realize this, but they literally.
Yeah, I think the signal is not good. Yeah, signal is not good. So hopefully we can get
we're
him.
gonna call Christian Houdini.
Keep
Yeah,
disappearing.
the Wi-Fi signal. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna try to
2 minutes. Talk quick, 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 quick. Quick.
so what happened during the pandemic, right? It was that bad, you know. It was really that bad. So I never knew that you had to wear masks. But also, if you were visiting your loved one at the funeral home for the last time, they had like two A and B, so you had to be in the A line or the B line. So whenever that time was, you would say goodbye and then leave. That's pretty much it. That was kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, COVID was crazy. It just was a different time. I don't think we've recovered from it. I think we're still trying to find our normal after the whole world shutting down. Yeah, that was a crazy time. But yeah. So, Christian. Okay.
We got ourselves a Houdini, y'all.
Yes. Corinne, thank you for sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I know I was there, I was in California right after Holly passed, but I didn't get to see the family and I didn't get to make it to the service because I left the day before. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. But yeah, I had come down because I had a book signing there, and I didn't get to make it. But I tried to get over and see Lydia and Maurice and Angela.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hey, Julian,
Good evening. Good evening.
the voice of reason. How you doing?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm doing well. I mean, the particular thing about this subject, I think once you go through the entire grief of losing someone, it redefines what you thought it meant to want.
Well, I guess
Uh-oh.
it's not just them.
Typical men popping in and out. Mr. Houdini. We talked about this earlier. They come in, tap it, and tap in, and then leave. Okay, that's typical Houdinis. Look at Christian popping in. No, Christian, we've had enough
Hey, it
of
wasn't
you.
my fault. Y'all said it was your internet. TikTok's misbehaving. I don't know what
TikTok
happened to
does not
TikTok.
want us to have this conversation, I guess.
I'm telling you. Yeah, it was sad, but what I realize is that when people, when they pass away, sometimes it's harder. But good thing though is that there's groups though for it now. There's groups, so at least you can go and you can sit with other like-minded people and you can talk about these things, in person. I never did that from my cousin though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Although my family encouraged me to go, because it was a burden on my heart, right? So
Yeah. Loss is always hard. Yeah, it just is hard. And it's really hard when it is immediate, when it's, parents are, yeah, that is just okay, Julian, I'm sorry. Hopefully it won't kick you out again.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. I'm able to roll with the punches.
Well,
Amy's in the chat. Look at Amy supporting us. Amy, we're talking about grieving, chica.
To add more to the conversation, I think it's kind of weird that even when in the pandemic times, people were scrambling to find food. Oh, and by the way, they had to refrigerate the people's bodies though in actual refrigerators because they just didn't have the room or space, which is kind
Oh
of weird.
yeah, that's right,
I was
Christian. You
reading
know
that
we
in the paper
forget.
sometime during those times. Strange times.
Very strange times. Very, very strange times.
Oh my goodness. Thank God we don't live in those times anymore.
Yeah, but the ramifications are still here. We're still feeling it. Like nobody knows. It changed society. It made a lot of our kids. They are not social. They don't know what it's like to be social. It just changed the way the world works. So I don't know what's going on with those two boxes. I didn't do it. I
These
promise.
men.
I didn't
It's
do it.
these men. Ren, ain't it these men? Ain't it like it these men? Men pop in and pop out. That's what I'm telling you. Houdini. That's some real Houdini. Isn't that funny? How all of a sudden it's the two men that keep popping in and popping out. It's not females, it's just the
If
men.
well, if Andrea drops, then we know that it's divine. Andrea.
I know. Hi, Elle. Hi, ladies. How are you all? Hi,
Hi,
Hello,
how
Nolan.
are
How's
Andrea.
you?
everybody? So
Good, Andrea.
I'm great.
Good, Andrea.
On your subject of grief, grief is a hard topic to discuss, but also when people go through grief, they have to recognize the stage of grief they're in, and a lot of times people miss
Step,
the acceptance of losing someone.
step.
The steps, yes, the stages. There's what, 7 stages of grief. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. We're listening. We're all in. We're like, go ahead and
Okay.
school. We're listening. We're
Okay.
all in. We're like,
So, oh, sorry. Okay, so part of the 7 stages of
Uh-oh. Who's gone?
I rebuke you, Satan, in the name of Jesus. This is crazy.
oh
Only,
gosh.
only the three of us, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Else is
Holy
supposed to be a
Spirit.
part.
Come on, Holy
Let's see.
Spirit.
Let's see
We
what we got
rebuke you,
here.
Satan, in the name of Jesus. This devil out of here.
Yes.
Yes, we plead the blood of Jesus over this conversation.